Hello and welcome to our NAIFA Big Ideas webinar. I am Brendan Burnett, and today we are presenting how to build a thriving disability practice. This is part of our NAIFA Big Ideas webinar series, inspired by the NAIFA Big Ideas sessions at our Performance Plus Purpose Conference. And one of our presenters at the NAIFA 2019 Performance Plus Purpose Conference, a Big Ideas presenter, was Jamie Fleischner. And today, Jamie will talk about how to create a focused market and identify good prospects. She will cover how to create good sales habits, the kind that yield results, as well as how to create systems to track new business, and also how to navigate disability insurance underwriting, and how to maintain your book of business, and also how to create sales from existing clients. So we have a lot to unpack today. Looking forward to the webinar. Jamie started in the insurance industry in 1993 while attending college. Early in her career, she learned firsthand the importance of disability and life insurance when she was the primary caretaker for her mother, who eventually passed away while waiting for an organ transplant. Since then, she has used her experience and passion to help her clients protect themselves from life's biggest risks. And in 1999, she opened the doors to Set for Life Insurance. Jamie's a graduate of Washington University in St. Louis. She holds a number of professional designations, including NAIFA's own LUTCF, Life Underwriter Training Council Fellow, the CLU, and the CHFC. She's been published in multiple publications, including Life Insurance Selling Magazine, Locum Life, and Agent Sales Journal. She was also featured on the front cover of Agent Sales Journal. That was in 2010. And then in 2019, she was featured in Insurance News. She served on the board for 10 years as president of NAIFA Denver. From 2001 to 2002, she was the youngest president in the association's 100-year history. Jamie's also highly recognized by her peers and is recognized as one of the top DI and life insurance brokers in the country. And also, as I mentioned, she was on the main platform in Orlando in 2019 for NAIFA Big Ideas. Jamie's received numerous local and national industry awards, including the Wes Whitney Memorial Award. Multiple times has qualified for the $1 Million Roundtable, Core to the Table and Top of the Table, Guardian Life Hall of Fame, and Principal Financial Group Quality Producer Award, and currently recognized locally as one of the top insurance advisors in 2009 through 2019 by Denver's prestigious 280 magazine. And she's also a fourth-generation Denver native and enjoys spending time with her husband and two sons and her dogs. And she is also, most importantly, a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo. So, Jamie, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope to bring some enlightenment and something to talk about other than coronavirus during this period of time. Thank you all for listening. Let me just turn on speaker view here. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So during this period of time, I'm going to talk all about how to build a thriving disability insurance practice. These are things that have helped me succeed in the disability insurance marketplace, as well as the rest of my practice, life insurance. So whether or not you want to build a disability insurance practice, or if you want to increase your own sales in whatever practice that you have, there's going to be a lot of transferable information. I would recommend getting out a piece of pen and paper. I know early on when I used to listen in on all of these early in my career, this is how I gathered a lot of information, and I took things that would work for me and really built on that. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today are things that I started doing early on in my career, and I stuck with it, and it's helped me become very successful. So the first thing, if you want to become successful in selling disability insurance and anything for that matter, you need to understand why it's important to sell disability insurance, or why it's important that you're doing what you're doing. You need to really, in your core, believe that you are helping people and making a difference. If you're just selling something, it's just going to be transactional. You won't have the passion for it. You will not be as successful. If you're not as familiar with disability insurance, there's some great resources. I'm going to list two of them. One is disabilitycanhappen.org. That's a great website. There's statistics, there's quizzes, there's information that you can use for your clients. Familiarize yourself, see what is happening in the marketplace, see what the statistics are so you can share that with prospects and clients, and understand the importance of disability insurance. The other one is lifehappens.org. That's the Life Insurance Foundation for Education. Again, lifehappens.org. They have phenomenal information that you could use on social media. They have videos, they have all kinds of information. In the month of May, they had Disability Insurance Awareness Month. And I think if you subscribe, you can actually get all kinds of content, things that you can share, whether it's videos and stories and articles and all kinds of things that you can bring into your practice. So if you're not as familiar, you don't have your own disability insurance story, watch some of those videos. We all have a little extra time right now. Get inspired, learn how disability insurance made a difference. I think right now, in light of everything that's happening with the coronavirus, I think we're seeing a huge opportunity to also reach out to our existing clients. I'm going to get to that a little bit more, but I've had a lot of clients contact me. A lot of people are very, very worried right now. They're feeling very vulnerable, and they're scared. And that's exactly why people purchase disability insurance and life insurance, because they feel vulnerable. People are feeling it more acutely right now. We're seeing people that are going on unemployment. We're seeing the economy tank. We're seeing all kinds of unprecedented things. And we're seeing what happens when there's a pandemic. But everybody needs to talk to their clients about what would happen if they personally weren't able to work because they were too sick or injured. So really get a grasp on why it's really important, and that will spread through with everything else. The next thing is, why should you consider selling disability insurance? Perhaps you focus on life insurance or property and casualty insurance or financial planning, and disability insurance just feels like maybe just another product. There are a lot of reasons to consider adding disability insurance to your portfolio, even if you're not familiar with it. The reason being is you will increase the number of prospects. One of the reasons I started doing disability insurance early in my career was I was so young. I was 22 years old when I started, and none of my peers needed life insurance. They were 10 years away from getting married. But everybody that was starting in their career, they all were prospects for disability insurance. So this allowed me to have more people to go talk to. So single people need disability insurance. Single people sometimes don't need life insurance. Married people need disability insurance. So you could really increase the number of people to go and talk to with disability insurance in your portfolio. You have more prospects. There's also not a lot of service in disability insurance. I have claims, they contact me, and the company takes care of those. I have address changes and increases and those types of things, but not a lot of service. It's very little service once somebody becomes a client. So it's not a lot to have to do. And the renewals are significant. More than any other product in our industry, depending on your production, your renewal base can be substantial and it can stay with you. So if you continue, it's really a delayed gratification type of business, but if you can build it, the renewals are tremendous. It could be anywhere. Some companies pay 5%, some companies pay 25%, and everything in between. But if you think about, you're placing a lot of premium, and every year you're getting an additional 25% of premium place year after year, that's significant and substantial. So it's a really great way to build your business. So in line with some of the specific things that I'm going to give, I'm also going to just kind of give some of my philosophy and things that have worked for me. Early on when I was in my career, I would watch a lot of these types of videos and everything else. And I would think, gosh, if I just did exactly what that person did, I would be as exactly successful as them. But that never works. So one of the things I would say is don't be a copycat. Don't copy what somebody else is doing, because people are a lot more complicated than that. What might make if somebody makes something look easy, it's probably not. They're probably just good at it. Just like I like to watch sports, if just because somebody is able to do something doesn't mean I can just go and do that easily. So what you need to think about is what makes you unique. Why are people going to buy from you? I have the exact same products as all other people in my industry. Why do more people buy from me? It might be because maybe I get back to them faster, or it might be that they connect with me more, but everybody has unique qualities. So you need to sit down and think about what makes you unique and why are people going to connect with you? Perhaps you're part of a community. Maybe it's your neighborhood. Maybe it's you are a member of an organization. Maybe it's a women's group, a men's group. Maybe it's a church group. What is it that makes you unique, and why are people going to talk to you? And what are the qualities that you can connect with people? The next thing that I think is critical if you want to be successful in any business, but especially in disability insurance, is you need to create a niche. You need to have a very specific marketplace. Although most people need disability insurance, it's really a specific type of group where if you work with those types of people, you're going to be successful. Now, a lot of people also, work in the physician marketplace. I have a lot of clients in that marketplace. That marketplace is overloaded. They're being bombarded. There are a lot of niche markets out there that nobody is talking to. If you want to be successful in disability insurance, there are a couple of specific types of qualities you want to target. Number one is age. This is a very difficult product to acquire. So the younger people are, the easier it is for them to acquire. So I advise trying to target people between the ages of 25 and 40. That's really the ideal time for people to consider buying disability insurance. Number two, you want to work with people who have good earning potential because you're helping them protect their income. If they're not making a lot of income, they may not be able to afford purchasing this. So, but then again, you don't want somebody who's extremely wealthy where they're able to self-insure. So you want to work with people who have income potential between, I would say, $75,000 a year up to $400,000 or $500,000 a year. I mean, that's a kind of a wide range, but working with that range and younger people is going to give you a good start. There are a lot of untapped markets out there. Again, if you're targeting people by age, maybe it's by hobby, maybe it's by, all different types of things. So the first place that you ought to look at is your own database. If you're able to look at your own database and look at, okay, who do I have between ages 25 and 40? Maybe start there. Send something out to all of those people. Or maybe between age 25 and 40, and they're all a certain occupation. Really good occupations to target: attorneys, engineers, architects, pharmacists, people in the tech industry, executives, business owners. Business owners is probably the most untapped market out there. Those people are the most vulnerable, and they don't have group benefits typically through their employer. There are a lot of small business owners, and those people could really, really use your help. So that's a really good place to find a niche market. The other thing is look at your own clients and figure out who are your favorite clients. If you only had to go into work and work with those specific people, your day would be a lot more fun. That's how I kind of got started in my niche market, because I was so tired and exhausted from taking care of my mom when she was sick, and I just didn't have the energy for every kind of appointment. And so what I realized was when I worked with one specific type of person and group, it was a lot more enjoyable, and I had a lot more energy, and I had a lot more success. And within that group, I would ask those people, well, who are some of your friends? Who are some of your peers? Who are your colleagues? And I was able to create a niche market from those people. So that's really important. That's really, if you're going to take anything away from today's webinar, go back to your own group of people and figure out who you can contact. Oftentimes, you make a sale and you're really excited. Maybe you wrote a life policy and you just want to get through that. But a lot of people also forget to say, well, what about disability insurance? What about cross-selling? It's really important. I do a lot of life insurance, and that's actually typically a cross-sell from the disability insurance. At the time that I sell the disability insurance, I say, have you thought about life insurance? Or, as we increase their disability insurance over time, oh, now I've had a baby, or now I've, bought a house or a business practice, now I need some life insurance. So by staying in touch with existing clients, but there's a lot of opportunities for cross-selling. Now, one of the things that I did very early on in my career from day one that I continue to do today, which has helped me immensely be successful, is I track everything. I keep track of data for everything. If you don't keep track, you will not know specifically how well you're actually doing. It's like not stepping on the scale for a year and just assuming, oh, I'm fine. And then things start to feel a little tight and you're kidding yourself. So it's really important to actually know your figures so you can look back and look forward. so you can make projections. So I keep spreadsheets of all different types of areas of my business. And this is where you ought to write these things down if you want to. The first spreadsheet, and you can also put these together like on a Google Doc. So if you're working with your staff, they can keep track, especially for underwriting. So the first one is my underwriting. It's really important that you keep track of underwriting, especially if you're in the disability insurance business, because underwriting can be immense and it can be very, very taxing. So at any given time, I've got hundreds of cases. And so I keep track, I have spreadsheets, and I have it by company, and I have the name of the client, their email address, the date that the application went in, and all of the outstanding requirements. As soon as something's approved, it moves up to the list and it turns green. As soon as the policy's been sent out to the client, it's turned red. So I can just look on a color-coded basis that I know exactly what's going on. So I'm able to copy and paste all my reds and send out a weekly thing saying, hey, we've sent you your policy. If you have any questions, contact us. Or all the greens, I know I can contact the company. Where's the policy? I know where we are. I can also, if it's blue, I know that we're just awaiting approval. I can copy and paste and send an email out to blind copy to 50 people saying we're awaiting approval. We expect to have that soon. So it really helps the communication and to know where things are going at any given time, because there's so many moving parts. So that's really the most critical spreadsheet for you to have if you're running a busy disability practice. And the same goes for life insurance and all of those. If you're doing a high volume practice, you need to be organized, because you need to also communicate with your clients what's happening. A lot of people come to me because they worked with another broker and their application went into a black hole, and they never heard from them again. And, you know, underwriting can take anywhere, depending on the company, depending on the situation, 2 days to 2 months, really depends, especially if you need to get medical records. So that's the first spreadsheet. The second one is I keep track of all my open cases. So when a new prospect comes in, I have a spreadsheet. And again, I know what's going on. Have I talked to the client? Are they thinking about it? Do I need to contact them in 3 weeks, or what is going on? So I'm able to make sure nothing slips through the cracks, because again, there's so many moving parts and you don't want to miss out on a prospect. And you also don't want to be contacting them too often or not enough. So you really need to make sure. And again, I keep track of the name, their occupation, when I last contacted them, their email address, etc., to keep track of that. I also keep track of all my production. So I have 2 different production ones. One is where I keep track of business turned in and business placed. So as soon as I turn in an application, I have their name and I have their how they came to me, like a referral or the existing client, and then what company, and then the amount of premium, etc. So at any given time, I can look and see, okay, where am I year to date? Where am I this year compared to years past? What's going on? How much have I turned in with this company versus that company? I have all of that data. Then when I actually place something in Force, it's on the bottom part of the spreadsheet. So I have, again, same exact information. So that way I also know the ratio of what's turned in versus what's getting placed in Force. So again, I'm not kidding myself thinking, oh, I'm turning in so much business, but maybe I'm not placing, or I'm placing a lot, but my pipeline's getting dry. I'm not turning in enough. So again, it really gauges me where I am on a moment-to-moment basis. And I have that going back to 1993 when I first started in the business. I can tell you, if you asked, I could go back and look what my average size case was, how much got placed, how many, etc. So I've really kept track of all of that. And sometimes it's fun to go back, and sometimes it's really painful to see how you've done. I do also keep track of the production, because at the end of the year, I look at my year to date, or I actually have an end of the year spreadsheet. And then I have a yearly one, so I can look at my trends. Which companies am I placing more business with? My average size case, etc. But however you want to keep track of your data, but it's really, really important to create these habits now to really track everything. And again, whether it's disability insurance or life insurance or long-term care, any of that, really important to keep track of that. The next thing that, again, this isn't as specific, but this is something that you might be able to put into your practice, is I'm a big believer in eliminating wastage. We all have the same amount of time, but I think we all waste a tremendous amount of time. So what you have to think about is it's not the amount of time you're working, it's how you're working in that time. So when I'm working, I am focused, I'm totally in my zone, And when I'm not working, I'm on my walk or I'm with my kids or whatever it is, I am not working. So regardless of the amount of volume that I do, I actually don't work 24/7. I'm very specific about it. I don't spend time doing social media during the day or, doing things that aren't going to help me reach my goal. So I have very specific times when I do things, and I also block out the time when I'm not working. It's very important that you do that. And the other thing that I did start incorporating is I started using a program called Calendly, where my clients are able to actually log in and they can see a calendar and they can schedule appointments. And so I do block out if I'm, busy doing something with my family, if I'm exercising or I have a lunch meeting with a friend, all of that is already blocked out. And so if there's something that's really important to you, maybe it's your yoga class or whatever it is, you want to block out that time, or maybe it's time you don't want to be bothered by clients. So you just take that out. It's really important. You also want to create routines to eliminate all of this wastage. So I have very specific times and dates that I do everything. So for instance, Sunday nights, I deal with all my underwriting. I go through all my cases, and most of the companies allow me to go on their website and see the status of every case. And I update my underwriting spreadsheet, and I contact every single client in underwriting and say, here's the status of your case. Here's what's going on. That's Sunday nights. Now, as things occur during the week, we need this form, we need whatever it is, I'll contact the client. But other than that, I give them their updates once a week. And that seems to work really well because they know that you're on it, you're in contact with them, and that's really important. That's Sunday nights. Mondays, I look at my week, I get everything in order, and that's when I also look at, are there any increase options or any kind of clients opportunities for new business. I'll get to that in a little bit. Tuesdays, I do all my follow-up calls and find out the status of cases, etc. So it's really important for whatever it is that you're trying to do that you don't just let the work come to you playing defense. You want to play offense. You want to have very specific times when you're doing things so you're on top of it, and you want to create the habit. Instead of saying, gosh, it's been a while since I followed up with people, or it's been a while since I did a client newsletter. It's been a while. You don't want to do that because then things are never going to happen. You want to create specific times when you're doing all of these things, block it and put it in your schedule and block it out. And then that way everything's going to be done. You won't be spending a lot of time making silly decisions on, gee, I wonder when I should do this. I wonder when I should do that. It's just going to be done. Also block out time for goals that you might have, whether it's vacations or, if you want to you have a hobby, you want to take a class, add all of those things in. Those are all really important to take care of. Right now, since we're all locked down, it's also really important to create some kind of routine. I've noticed that even with my family, it's really important that you say, okay, these are the things I'm going to try to accomplish today. And you want to have some kind of routine. Otherwise, things are just not going to get done, or things just won't go as planned. So the next thing is client service. So this is something that I've noticed a lot of people in our industry don't do a good job of, and this is something that can set you apart. So a lot of clients, new clients, come to me because they bought a policy from somebody 6, 8, 10 years ago and never heard from them again. They don't know what's going on with their policy. They want to buy more insurance. They never heard from the person again. Very important that you keep in contact with your clients regularly. Doesn't have to be all the time, but I try to do it seasonally. I try to send out something every winter, spring, summer, fall. I use a service called MailChimp where I can keep track of all my clients, and I send out a regular email to them on a regular basis, letting them know something that's going on in the industry. Maybe it's something that's going on in my life. I tell them stuff personally because I have a lot of personal relationships with these people, just to stay in contact with them. Oftentimes somebody will reply to that email, oh, I've been meaning to get in touch with you. We just had a baby, or we moved, or I have a new job, or I want to talk to you. So it really starts different types of conversations. So it's really important with client service to do that. The other type of client service, in the midst of all this coronavirus, for example, I sent out an email to all my clients, reassuring them, telling them what's going on, how this will impact existing insurance, new insurance, what's happening with that. And you want to be sensitive to what's happening in life at the time. I actually had a new client contact me who referred to me. I had sent out something to my prospects, the same letter about that I sent to my clients about coronavirus, and he contacted me and he said, really appreciated how you were so sensitive and you were really thoughtful. I'm going to switch my business to you. My previous agent just sent me something trying to sell me something. And, so you have to be sensitive to people and realize, they are people and you really do need to care about them. The other thing with client service, the biggest opportunity in disability insurance are increase options. And so many agents sell a policy, it goes into a black hole, and they never contact their clients again. So you need to have a system and a method to make sure you keep on top of your clients and increase their policies when they have the opportunity. Some clients have the opportunity once a year. Some of them it's every 3 years. Some of the policies, if you don't contact them, they'll lose the opportunity to increase their policy. So very important that you contact them. We have a system where we email the clients with a link and an application they can do online. That's for some of the companies. Some of the companies have a 17-page increase option application that makes it more complicated. And then we also do send a physical letter with the form with a return envelope. I know it's still kind of old school, but people actually open up mail now because they're tired of getting emails. So that's a way to make sure you stay in touch with them. Probably at least a third of our business is in increase options, increasing existing policies. We probably do 10 of these a week. It's a very substantial amount. And it's also a really good opportunity to get in touch with existing clients. And oftentimes, again, they contact you. Oh, by the way, I got married. My spouse needs insurance. Oh, I want you to talk to some of my friends about insurance. That's the best way to prospect is with talking to your existing clients. Anytime you have an opportunity to talk to your clients is an opportunity for existing future sales. The next thing for disability insurance that's really important is creating the correct expectations. A lot of agents and brokers don't want to do disability insurance because it's very difficult with underwriting. It is the hardest with underwriting. The way to overcome that is to create expectations. Do not tell somebody, oh, that's no big deal. You had knee surgery last year. It's okay. I can get an exception. You can't tell them that. You have to create expectations from them saying, yeah, likely that's going to be excluded. You need to tell them that. And, oh, this is going to take 2 or 3 weeks, even if it might take 2 or 3 days. So you want to create the expectation. You want to underpromise and overdeliver. And people are much more satisfied than saying, oh, that's no big deal. And then you have to come back to them and tell them about some kind of exclusion or denial that they have. Most clients aren't very happy with that. But if they knew, going into this, it's likely that your neck is going to be excluded, and they get a neck exclusion, they already knew that going into that. If they tell you at the beginning they have a neck, they don't want to take a policy with a neck exclusion, walk away. Don't waste your time because you're not going to be able to wave a magic wand. We get a lot of clients that come to us because they're frustrated with other agents and brokers because they didn't get a good outcome. Oftentimes, if they're frustrated with that broker, they're going to be frustrated with you. These are not the types of cases you want. You don't want to take the unsatisfied customer unless, they just did something that you could have done differently. But typically, most brokers are doing the best that they can out there. So that's something that you want to make sure that you do. The other thing is you want to make the process of disability insurance, you want to make it enjoyable for your clients. You don't want to sell insurance. You want to help your clients buy insurance. I am the worst customer. If somebody's trying to sell me something, I'm the worst. I hate being sold something, but I love buying something. And when I have a good buying experience, I tell all my friends about it. I'm excited about it, especially when I get a good deal. And so you want to help your clients buy insurance. You want them to be excited about it. You want to connect with them. You want to make it enjoyable. Again, you want to create the expectation that's realistic. And so think to yourself, when was the last time you bought something and it was really enjoyable? Maybe it was a big ticket item like a car, maybe it was a sweater or a pair of shoes, whatever it was. Why was it enjoyable? Was it because you got a good price? Was it because the person that helped you made you feel like you were heard? Or was it something that you got that was unique? Think about that. And you want to show your clients that you really care about them. You don't want this to be transactional. This is a very, this type of sale is something that's very emotional. People feel very vulnerable. So you really need to care about them, and don't be careless. So what are some ways that you can show them that you care? one of the things that I do is I write handwritten thank you notes to every one of my clients after a sale, and I send them a gift. I always send gifts when somebody refers me somebody, and I always personalize it when my clients have babies or get married or have some kind of life event. They get matched to their medical residency or they move. I try to send out something that's unique to them, that really shows that I know who they are and that I care about them. That goes a long way. So, I send out really nice gifts, and one of my gifts that I send out has my logo on it. And I've had people contact me saying, I want what they have. Well, that's for existing clients. I get a lot of business that way. And that's how I get a lot of referrals and create that loyalty. So when you're looking at disability insurance and you want to sell a lot of insurance, and this goes for any kind of industry, you need to set very specific goals. You need to not say, I want to sell more insurance this year. I want to sell a lot of insurance this year. You have to be very specific and you have to be realistic. So again, this is where the data comes in. So you want to look at what you've done in the past and make some projections in the future. You can't always control what happens on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. I try to set quarterly goals, so I kind of know what this quarter looks like versus other quarters, and I look for patterns. But it's really important to actually set those goals and then keep them somewhere where you can see them. And then when you're making decisions, you have to say, is this something that's going to help me achieve my goal or not? Sometimes I get people who want to meet with me about different things, and if it's not going to help me achieve my goals, no. And you be very careful about and selective about meetings that you set up. The other thing is, if you're newer in the business or you're newer in disability insurance, ask others for help. We're in a very unique situation being in NAIFA. When I was early in my career, I had a lot of mentors and a lot of people who were very helpful to me. Even though we're competitors with each other, we're still all in this together. There's a lot of business out there. And so reach out to somebody. If you've been in the business for a long time, reach out to somebody that you can help. That's how you're going to do well in this business. It takes a long time to be successful. It took me years and years to be successful in this business. And a lot of it is because I had other people who guided me and were helpful. Reach out to your reps from the different companies. That's their job. They're there to help you, guide you, and keep you posted when there's changes. They can help you with sales, and listen to them. They want to help you. They want to set up times to meet with you. So take them up on it and have them help you and guide you. And you want to prioritize. I kind of got into that when I said, I don't take every meeting. I also don't take every client. If I have very specific guidelines of which kinds of clients that I want to meet with, if somebody doesn't meet my profile, I refer it out. If somebody doesn't fit my niche, if they're too old or they've got, significant health issues, or it's a case that I just don't feel like is in my realm of what I want to do, I refer it out. I'm not going to waste my time. I've got too many other things to go or to do. And so if something's going to just take up too much of your time, refer it out. I don't try to be all things to all people. And there's certain products that I don't do, I refer it out. You also just want to this is kind of going back to what's going on in our world right now. You need to also make sure you take care of yourself. When you're really busy, you want to also just get back to the basics. And I think a lot of us are doing that right now, being stuck at home. You want to make sure you still have a good sleep schedule. I'm trying to teach this to my teenagers right now. Very difficult. You want to make sure you exercise. Exercise is something I think has really helped me. I always take at least an hour and a half every day now when locked at home, twice a day, really long walks with the dogs. Get outside. It'll change your perspective. You'll get your best ideas. And sometimes when you walk away from your desk and you come back, you're completely refreshed. So it's really beneficial. And if exercise and all of those things are important to you, actually put together a schedule. Right now, obviously, gyms are closed, but put together goals. I'm going to exercise on these dates at these times, block it out in your schedule and do it. I've noticed people who do things first thing in the morning are more likely to get them done. That's when I do it. So it's really important that you actually put those things in writing. Now, another thing that I think is really important to be successful is you can't worry about everyone else and what your competitors are doing and whether somebody else gave good advice or bad advice. I mean, I hear from company reps, people complain, that's not fair. She's selling more than we are. She has more market share. don't worry about everybody else. Just worry about what you're doing. If somebody else gives bad advice or whatever, just focus on what you're doing. And whatever you do, do not ever defame or say anything negative about another broker. I will not ever do that. Again, sometimes I get things from other brokers who've given really bad advice, and I just say, gosh, I'm really sorry. That's really unfortunate. Let's just figure out a way to fix this. So don't ever say anything negative about somebody else in the industry that's in really bad faith. But on the flip side, think about somebody that you really admire that's in the industry, somebody that's really successful, and think about how would they handle this situation, or maybe somebody you could reach out to if you're in a really difficult situation that could help. That could actually really help you. The other thing too is you have to be willing to walk away. I've had a lot of situations where some people come to me and I just don't want to work with this person for whatever reason. They're rude, or they think that I have the magic touch and they've already been the 3 other brokers and I can't do anything different. Or they're just somebody I think that they're not very good to work with. They call me constantly on the weekends and bother me. So you have to be willing to walk away. I've always said, you finally made it in the business when you can just fire a client. It's a very good feeling. Oftentimes when you actually do that, clients will all of a sudden behave and they want to work with you, but you have to be willing to walk away. You also have to notice if you're working with prospects, if they're not going to buy or they're not that interested, you can't waste any more of your time and move on to the next one. Not everybody is going to buy from you. And that goes on to the next thing is you have to have thick skin. I mean, I think part of the reason that I've sold a lot of cases is because I've been rejected from so many cases. I just have had more rejection. My closing ratio may not be any better than anybody else. I just have more prospects from gathering more people over the years. I don't think I have any special touch per se. So you have to have thick skin, and you have to be willing to just take the rejection. It's just part of it, and just say, okay, next. It's a numbers game. So the more people you ask, the more people you're going to have. You want to make sure all of your technology is up to date. Because things are changing at a very, very rapid pace. Obviously, we're using Zoom. Like I mentioned, I use Calendly. I use a database system. I use MailChimp for my emails when I send out big emails. I'm in the process of updating my website. So it's really important. If you're not good with technology, find somebody else who is and have them help you implement it and use it to your best ability. Most of our companies now have online applications and online delivery, which has really helped us tremendously. The ones that don't, it's really unfortunate. It takes a week to get the policy, and then you have to mail the policy, and you realize how much wastage there is. So hopefully most companies are getting on board with that. So kind of circling back to what we started with is this is still really a relationship business. I think if you really want to be successful in any of these, whether it's disability insurance or life insurance or any kind of insurance, it really comes back to the relationships. You want to make sure you have good relationships with your clients, but it's also really important that you develop good relationships with home office people, and also the people, the company reps. I've really gotten to know a lot of the underwriters over the years, the companies that let you actually talk to underwriters. That's really beneficial. Some of them I've really gotten to work with and got to know. They're people too, and they really are trying to help you. By developing those relationships, there are times that I'm able to sometimes get an exception or something more reasonable, or they at least listen when I realize that this client, they have a unique situation. So it's really important, and take care of those people as well, and take care of your clients, because it does come back to help you tremendously. So, but really at the core of it, and I'm going to be finishing up here soon, is you want to get back and understand and remember what the purpose is. We've talked a lot about numbers and moving things along in the whole process, but you want to also get back to what is the purpose and why are you doing what you're doing. So think to yourself, if you were to write in one sentence, what is your purpose? And just if you want to sell disability insurance or life insurance or your practice, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Write it down and have it somewhere you can see it. And my purpose is to help people prepare for the worst so they can live their best lives. And I truly mean that. So I try to do everything I can, whether it's articles or things that I could put on social media or reaching out to clients, figuring out how you can help them best prepare so they can live their best lives. And you'll be amazed at how many people will reach out to you when they have a life event, whether it's a claim or, you know, a birth of a baby or something like that. It's really important. And it's always the days where somebody does contact you when there are claims. And I've had, over the years, in 26 years, I've had a lot of claims. And those are the things that remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing. I had a recent claim with a long-term client, and you know, she still sends me text pictures. She's in a wheelchair. She's sent me a card, the nicest thank you card you've ever seen. And I have it right above my desk. And it reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing, because ultimately that's really what it's about. Her policy was life-changing for her. She's 45 years old. She's an orthopedic surgeon. She bought a policy from me when she was finishing residency 20 years ago. And she's got such severe arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and she's in a wheelchair. She's had surgeries. And so she's got a $25,000 a month policy with cost of living that's going to pay her for the next 20 years. That is life-changing for her. She's not going to have to worry about how she's going to survive financially. So that is why we do what we do. So it's important to go back to the roots, figure that out. If you don't have stories, like I said, find some stories out there that'll get you passionate about why we're doing what we're doing. And then right now we're kind of in a part where we're able to kind of step back and get a little bit of perspective of, you might have a little bit extra time on your hands being at home so much. You're not running around with the usual schedule. So maybe go back and try to remember what brought you into the business in the first place. Was it the freedom? Was it the people? Was it what the sales? Was it the, what was it? Go back and write these things down. And what are the favorite parts of your business? And reignite that passion and get excited about it. And, you know, this, in my opinion, there is no better business out there. We're able to help so many people. We have unlimited inventory, and we're able to help people at times when they really need it most. So I thank you all for being here today. That concludes my part of the session. I think we're going to open it up to questions. Brad?
We certainly are, Jamie. So you're saying that some of your fellow brokers were jealous of you in terms of your sales volume. Is that correct? And complained about it? Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm not going to defame anybody, but I've had a lot of people try to slam me, say nasty. Yeah, absolutely. There's
My goodness.
But as I say, desperate people do desperate things. I think it's really tacky. And I mean, I've had clients forward me emails. There's no way that she can do this, or there's no way that they're lying to you. You can't get. And so, yeah, there are people that are jealous and they try to do desperate things, but I just keep doing my thing. Yeah.
Well, nothing succeeds like success. And clearly you've been quite successful with your disability income insurance business. It reminds me, one reason why you got into this, I'm sure, is for the freedom. And that includes the freedom to fire a client, which is a tremendous level of freedom. It was said, don't work for anyone that you don't respect and admire. And it sounds like something Warren Buffett would say, but it was actually Charlie Munger, his business partner, that said that. But anyway, I'll go ahead and open this up to questions now. We have quite a few questions, and we appreciate all of them. The first question that we have, great question from Brad. What are you using to manage your underwriting pipeline?
To manage my pipeline, so again, I use my spreadsheets where I keep track of it because I've got multiple companies. So I just use an Excel spreadsheet where I have all the various different companies and keep track of that. But then I go onto the company websites and go through, you know, the underwriting list with each of those companies individually.
Great. And the next question that we have, this is a great one, one I wondered myself. What types of gifts do you send out to those that refer clients to you or to other people to whom you send gifts?
I should have grabbed one in here. So for clients, I have Contigo mugs, coffee mugs with my logo on them. They're really nice. I have them custom made. And so my clients are walking around their offices and hospitals or wherever they're working with those. And so I actually get thank yous for sending those thank you gifts. For people that have babies, I send really nice blankets. When clients are getting married, I go to their registry and buy them something. And then I use a company called nuts.com. I send gift back or nuts or baskets of dried fruit, things like that for referrals, or it just kind of depends on what their specifics are, but that's just sort of in general.
And do you design your own client newsletter?
I do that using MailChimp, so yes.
MailChimp, is that correct?
MailChimp, yeah.
MailChimp, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
For the benefit of all our listeners who might want to use that themselves. Howard has a question. Do you use any visuals for selling DI?
Not really, because a lot of it is, I mean, I'm in all 50 states, so the majority of the stuff I'm doing is over the phone. So I don't have any, I don't use any visuals per se.
Okay. And we have a comment from Charles, 300K per year. Holy cow.
What is that referring to?
Well, he seems to think that's how much you're grossing. So maybe he's maybe that's wishful thinking or projection. But so yes. Anyways, yeah, I'd like that too. So he says he'd send you thank you cards every day. So anyway, whatever amount it is.
I'm not sure what that was referring to. Yeah.
I'm not sure either. I come to think of it because I don't think you actually mentioned a figure during your presentation, did you? But anyways.
I don't think I gave out any specific numbers.
Oh, okay. He says that is 25K a month from your
Oh,
client.
he's talking about,
so he's
okay.
done some math there, yeah.
He's talking about my client who has a $25,000 a month disability benefit. Yeah. Yeah. She's making $300,000 a year on claim. That's what he's referring to. Yes.
Oh, that makes more, yeah, it makes more sense. Thank you, Charles, for that clarification.
Tax-free,
That
yes.
makes a lot of sense. Excellent. We have a hand raised here. Let me see if we can get to that. Norman, we're having some difficulty getting through to you. So if you wouldn't mind just typing your question in the chat box, and I'll be sure to go ahead and read that to Jamie. Now, in terms of just, I know we're a little off topic here, but you mentioned in these difficult times, getting outside. Is that correct, Jamie? That's something
Yes.
you try to do every day? And an astronaut recently, Scott Kelly, he was shot into orbit, and poor guy, I think he was in outer space for about a year, and he said, that's the one thing I wish I could have done is go outside, but you can't do if you're inside.
I read his article, and it was actually fascinating. He was talking about living in solitude and the importance of creating a schedule. And so that's a lot of the things that I had actually talked about, but I do think, yeah, it's important to get outside every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that brings us to another point that I want to make is that, you know, here at NAIFA, we're not going to sing to you or do live concerts or anything like that, but we are going to, during this difficult time, continue to be a lifeline online and provide you with more content and training as much as we can online. And so I appreciate you participating today and more of this type of content to come. Let's see if we have any additional questions here. We don't, and so we're going to pause just for one more moment to see if there's any final questions that might be coming in. If not, we'll go ahead and let you out of school a little bit early today, let you get back to your businesses. Actually, one question that I did have on my own here is, I'm pro life insurance, okay? I love life insurance, and I work for NAIFA, and everybody I think should own life insurance. But am I correct that the odds of filing a disability claim are quite higher than filing a death claim on a term life policy? Is that correct, Jamie?
Correct. So if you're looking at somebody during the working years between, you know, until age 65, so from age 30 to 65, the chances of needing a disability policy is about 1 in 3.
Okay.
And statistically for life insurance, it's significantly lower. Although there's 100% chance that people will eventually have a life insurance claim.
Correct.
So, but I mean, a lot of people ask, well, what if I never use my disability policy? Well, congratulations, you weren't disabled. I mean, you know, I mean, nobody calls their, you know, their homeowners and say, well, my house never burned down. Can I get my money back? But I get those questions.
It's a good response too.
Yeah.
We have a question on prospecting, which is awesome because that's one thing that a lot of our listeners need to know more about, prospecting for DI. What is the source of most of your prospects? Where and how do you prospect?
So at this stage, my primary source are my existing clients. Like I said, probably about 1/3 of our new business is existing clients doing those increase options. And that's where we get the most exposure. So we really take care of those clients. And then from there, we get a lot of referrals. So that's really, I'm not at this point in my career, I'm not doing a lot of active prospecting. When I first started my career, I did a tremendous amount of prospecting. I did a lot of direct mail. I did a lot of I still do seminars. I get asked to do a lot of talks, but other than that, I don't do as much active prospecting. But again, early on, I did quite a bit of direct mail and seminars.
And that was in the very beginning. Is that how you prospected in the very beginning as well?
Yes.
Excellent. And one thing that also occurs to me is that if your practice is primarily life-based, but you're trying to get into DI, I mean, what better conversation when you're having that annual review or quarterly review with that client to say, look, you know, if you get hurt and can't work, you're going to be in big trouble, and we've insured your life, but let's move on to the rest of your coverages. So what a segue. Excellent. Well, it looks like we are out of questions and almost out of time. I want to thank Jamie Fleischner very much for taking time today to be with us, to lend your expertise, and please stay tuned for future coming webinars that we're going to be advertising through our weekly email digests that are going to be going out to you, to the NAIFA members. And this concludes the NAIFA webinar.
Thank you.